Hi, Maria.
Yeah, great to see you.
Maria. Michelle, it's good seeing you too.
Yeah, whatever.
Suppose.
Yeah,
Did Thriller Fest meet and exceed your expectations again this year? Or is this your first
Yeah.
Thriller Fest? Not your first
it was
Thriller
the
Fest.
first time. Yeah, I
Oh,
had
okay.
gone to BoucherCon a couple of times, but yeah, first ever.
Oh, good. So are you going to BoucherCon in New Orleans too?
No, not going to BoucherCon in New Orleans. Working on, getting the next book ready to go.
Exciting.
I like how your sessions start with that. The clever chit chat.
Clever chit chat depends on the day for us. Well, this is How the Arts Were Won. Episode 4. It's July. I'm just saying. Well,
We're not slackers. We swear.
dragging-
We swear. we're not
dragging
slackers.
on producing episodes of this show that makes no revenue at all and has no advertising. But it's okay because we are with an author who I believe I met last year at BoucherCon. She probably doesn't remember, but she remembers Thriller Fest in New York this past June because we asked her to be on the podcast and she's here. So that's my evidence of meeting her this time.
Woohoo.
Maria Kelson. Maria Kelson I'm going to read her bio. She gave me 9 options. I'm going to pick one kind of in the
That's
middle. All right. Maria Kelson's Not the Killing Kind, which is her debut novel, if I'm not mistaken, won the inaugural Eleanor Taylor Bland Award for Crime Fiction Writers of Color, set in Redwood Country, and was inspired by working with undocumented mothers. Mexican-American educator from California, Maria lives near Yellowstone. She's writing a new thriller set in Yellowstone. Interesting. I'm going to ask her about that. And here she is, Maria Kelson.
Hey,
That's Maria Kelson. Very excited to be on this podcast.
yeah. I like how that you said that. Like you said, and she's happy to be here. So I didn't have to even hit that line. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
You
you might
really
not.
tone it down.
Maybe she's not happy to be here. You're putting words in her mouth.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
as I am wont to do. But
I am excited to be here.
good. Maria, I was reading through your bio, and just from having talked to you before, you were a poet previously.
That's right. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Make the switch.
I've read so many books, or at least a handful of books from writers who were previously poets only, essentially. Were you a poet only, or were you writing short stories and then you moved into fiction, or was it kind of a blend?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as I was, studying writing in college, I had mentors who wrote poetry, wrote fiction, wrote essays. So that was kind of my model, that if you're a writer, you're a writer and you want to try and work in different genres. And so I was writing short stories and I was writing essays and I would do some feature journalism on the side. Mm-hmm. But for years, I thought I would never write a novel. I actively had that thought. I would never write a novel. I could never write a novel.
Why is that?
I thought, well, I don't like people enough to write a novel.
Oh my gosh.
We sympathize.
Right. And then I later realized like novelists are total misanthropes. And so, and writers of all kinds. But that's fruitful because, it's what's troubling about your fellow humans and yourself that gets to be the meat of what you write. So I realized that wasn't a requirement. I didn't have to love all of humankind to,
you do not.
to write a novel. And then I also thought I would never be able to conceptualize the whole of it because I was so trained to go word by word, line by line in a poem and to use the poem as the container or the short story in some cases. And then I realized, you have containers that are manageable. Those are called chapters, or those are called paragraphs. Those are called scenes. So I eventually was able to kind of, convince myself that was something mortal humans could do.
Yeah, I have never, I'm sure they exist. I have never read a poet who transitioned to fiction writing that isn't a good fiction writer. There's just a certain rhythm and voiciness, I guess, but there's a certain lyricism to it.
Yes.
Lyricism is a word, right?
It's a great
word.
It feels very lyrical. Okay, good.
I have some examples of that.
I have started reading the book. I have it right here with me. You guys can't see because this is a podcast.
Oh, I didn't mean examples of that lyrics. I mean poets going to fiction. But I love that you grabbed the book immediately. Not the Killing Kind immediately. I hope that's an example of a poet going to fiction successfully. But I'm thinking of models of examples I have. I think Margaret Atwood.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I think Margaret Atwood started in poetry.
I didn't know that.
Poetry, went to fiction.
Cool. Okay.
And Louise Erdrich started in poetry, at least with what they were published. I mean, they may have been writing, fiction and poetry at the same time, but Louise Erdrich published poetry first, also before she started writing her novels. So I had that in mind that, well, it can be done. And I think you're right, Matt. I enjoy reading novels by people who wrote poetry. So I hope that it does work as a transition.
And I won't monopolize the conversation, I promise, Michelle, but I actually have a lot of questions for Maria because I started diving into it. It's been a very busy contest judging month for us at Script Pipeline, but I did start it and it's like a real book. And I know you think I've said this before to authors on episodes that we've done.
But I want to hear where this goes.
The thriller community, I love the thriller community. I love all the authors that I've read and I've met. There's some books out there.
Building up to a butt.
However.
It's the misanthrope part of the statement.
The misanthrope part.
Go for it.
Look, not every thriller book is the same in terms of the prose, in my opinion. Some of them are very down the middle, genre, straightforward. And the writing, to me, it's a personal preference, obviously. It's a little bland. This feels a little more, I haven't finished the book yet. I wouldn't call it more literary, but it does feel a little bit more elevated than the typical thriller book, which was refreshing and really more my preference. So thank you, Maria. For tailoring the book to my preferences.
Well, you bring up a good point that that book, like all books, is not for everybody, and I appreciate that you liked that it was written by somebody who has a certain approach to language that maybe other people who don't come from poetry don't have. But what I'm finding is that like with all works of created things, whatever makes it is going to bring some people to it and push some people away.
Yes.
So I'm happy that it's bringing people who like to read, maybe descriptions that are, more elaborate, or there's the occasional, poetic device of, comparing one thing to another, whatever. And people who like that are going to like this book, I hope. And people who don't, there's a nice, solid market of people who want their sentences crisp and clean and no caffeine, just a nice, straightforward sentence. And that's what they want in a reading experience. And there's plenty of books, available for them as well. So, I'm glad that it brought the person that it was for to it. And those that it pushes away, I'm sorry that it pushes them away. But that's what I'm finding is like, it's not for everyone, but that's okay.
Right.
No. Well, one of the things you learn, I'm sure, especially as a debut author, is that there are people out there that are just not going to like what you write, no matter what you write. Right.
No matter what you write. Yeah.
It's just like anything else, movies or films or plays. Yeah. And I want to clarify too that it's not a flowery sort of. She really hits that
exactly.
Goldilocks
That's what I was going to ask
far.
though. How did you do that? Because it is not literary. It is not literary, but it is again that elevated prose. But it's not everywhere. It's not ubiquitous, and so it's like just enough to not offend people who don't want to read a literary book,
Yeah.
Right. And but how did you strike that balance? Because this is your debut, and it's not like you, as you admitted, that you haven't been writing like fiction, novel length fiction, like for years or anything like that. So you haven't like perfected this, this careful balancing act. So how was it a huge struggle?
It was a struggle to some degree. And it was via feedback, I think, that I ended up with the balance that I have between, things that are more plot driven, things that are more character driven, things that are, more rich description, when to pull that back. It was all through feedback. I had no idea. I wrote 8 drafts and just, was all over the map like an accordion. Like some drafts were like, there's tons of description and there's, a million backstories for every point of action. And, and then other drafts were these, tiny little, like you can't even tell who the characters are and why they're doing what they're doing. And so in the end, the version that got picked up by the publisher, they did send me some feed. Well, before that, working with the agent who I signed with, she said, there are areas where there isn't enough description. And I was like, Oh, goody.
Oh,
I get to put some more description back in. Yeah, because I had pared it down. I was so paranoid because I knew, the genre. There's an expectation that you move it along. A tree is a tree is a tree, whatever. So I had really, stripped it back. And I was delighted when she was like, oh, you need more description. I was like, well, as a matter of fact, I can do that. So I added some more in. And then when I got to the publisher, I got some feedback that some of the character relationships need to be beefed up a little more, which that was also fun for me. That's not something you get to do in poetry very often. So I was like, oh, beefing up character relationships. So I enjoyed that revision a lot too. And what I noticed with that was those were just areas that I hadn't put things on the page that were already obvious to me in my head because I'd been living with the characters for so long. And, so I was, okay, I just need to translate what I already know about their relationship back onto the page. So it was all through feedback that I was able to know when I was hitting a balance.
And what would you say was the hardest part for you in writing a novel after focusing on poetry and those containers you were talking about?
Yeah. Honestly, the hardest part was thinking about a sentence.
Like a literal structure of a sentence?
The actual physical sentence, because my focus had been very heavily on poetry, even while I was writing, some short stories. My primary focus was on poetry for so long, and maybe 15 years. And I was so obsessed with the line, where do you end the line? What's the first word in your line? What's the, a typographic line of poetry? What's the last word in your line? What's the rhythm of the line? That I almost never thought about a sentence, where you put a period. And all of a sudden I was like, what the holy hell is a sentence?
The period goes at the end. I
know. I got obsessed. So that was the hardest thing. Unless there's three
of them in the middle of the sentence.
That was the hardest thing. And then the
ellipses.
The finalist, the finalist in the category of hardest thing. See, I listened to your episodes and I remember that you changed runner-up to finalist.
Oh,
wow.
That was so smart.
She's like an expert. I
thought that was so smart. Yeah. So the finalist in the category of hardest thing was where, how often big things have to happen. They can't happen every paragraph or people get disoriented is what I realized, but you can't go too long without, something big pushing things in a new direction. So that pacing of how often big things have to happen. And that was a struggle, but that I also got some help with too. I took some screenwriting classes, not because I have any screenwriting ambitions, but because I love how you all in your world think about that pacing of big transitions or big moments. Yeah. So that was super helpful.
Well, that's what I was going to compliment because I'm pretty sure I got further than Matt. I'm like 2/3 of the way through the book, and I'm.
It is a race.
It is a race for sure, and I'm just like I can't put it down, but at the same time I have to because life. But the pacing is incredible. It's very tight, and it's not too fast in any spots, but it's not too slow.
It strikes a nice balance. A friend of Michelle and I's, KT Wynn. I don't know if you've read her book too, but totally different concept, totally different story and characters, but same sort of thing. It felt borderline literary in a good way, without getting weighed down. So
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, subject matter wise, this isn't technically an arts and politics podcast. I want to touch upon this a little bit.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Well, so because it deals with undocumented immigrants, and there's that plot line in there, right? And that backdrop. Immigration's been a topic of debate for, if you've lived where I live in Southern California or in the West for 40 years, for at least 40 years.
Absolutely.
And it seems to be a topic again.
Just
in the worst possible way. Yeah.
Right.
So this is for better or worse, a timeless sort of topic.
Yes.
How did you come up with that plot, dynamic, but also just the concept in general for the book? And why did you want to kind of touch upon this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that it depends on where you live, whether you have that perspective of,
Totally.
immigration is an ongoing issue versus is it the issue du jour? And based on, where you live, you realize, oh, this has been an issue for decades and decades and decades.
I'm in
South
Central Texas, and obviously borders right
Same
there.
thing, yeah.
So,
Yes.
same deal here.
So it didn't just, it
did
didn't
not
just become
materialize overnight.
in January.
No.
Yeah, right.
And it's a way
right.
that, no offense to East Coasters and Northeast people, but like it's a totally different perception, I think.
Yes.
Because of their distance from the border and the type of communities that they're surrounded by.
Absolutely.
Right? But, go ahead.
Yeah. So why is that in this book? Good question. So I'm Mexican American. My father's family is from Mexico, and it was his father that immigrated. So I'm two generations away from an immigrant experience. There weren't a lot of stories of my grandparents' migration journey. So it wasn't in some families that the immigration story is sort of, in the air between the generations. And I don't really know. I know where they came from. I don't know what their experience was in particular. So, and they're very rooted in Arizona. So that Arizona was my sort of touch point for that side of the family, getting to know them and their traditions. And I grew up in California. But, Arizona is where the cousins were. Arizona is where I heard my aunties and uncles speaking Spanish. That was kind of where I acculturated as a Mexican American. However, so even though I was like removed from an immigrant experience in that way, my dad always had a real strong sense of compassion for particular immigrants from Mexico, for Spanish speakers. He was involved in different volunteer programs where he would help those populations where we lived in Northern California. So I just grew up with this sense of like familial care in a way, like, oh, here's some people that we're connected to, meaning current or recent immigrants. Here's some people we're connected to that we might be in a position to help. So that was kind of in my upbringing. And then as an adult, teaching English in various capacities. I taught English at college, at universities, community colleges, community settings. And I had a flirtation with ESL in my career. I would teach a couple years at this adult ed program and then go back to universities and then a couple years in that adult ed program. So I've kind of been in and out of these adult ed programs with ESL, English as a second language, or ELA, it's sometimes called. And so I was at one point in an elementary school setting where I taught Spanish-speaking mothers through a grant program. They would come to the school and I would teach them English, and the grant required parenting classes, which is like so galling and so colonial. Like we have a way of parenting that you will learn, whatever. But so I tried to make it more, adapt a little bit more to their needs. But anyway, spent a lot of time with this group of mothers, Spanish-speaking mothers. And so that classroom experience inspired this novel because I was uneasy about realizing that as someone who had citizenship privilege her whole life, there were things about their lives I would never know, I would never deeply understand. And yet, we had a lot of accord, student-teacher accord. But there were some things I would just never understand. So I knew I would make mistakes. I knew I would mess things up. Like, for example, we had a lesson during parenting class, I brought in someone from the local bank and she said, oh, here's how you open a checking account, blah, blah, blah. One of the students raises her hand and says, but do you need a social security number? And the banker said, well, actually, yes, you do. So it's like, oh, I just wasted, 60 minutes of their time. So I knew I was going to mess things up, because there were things about their lives that I just wouldn't understand. Yeah. And that bugged me because, I like connecting to my students. So I said, okay, let me have this main character who's just messing things up with this population she's trying to help and put her in a situation where she has to really go out of bounds in terms of trying to help her son, who's accused of the murder of a former student.
Yeah. And we don't know if we're citizens and we were, born here and so forth. We don't really know what the day to day is like for someone who's undocumented and has to kind of carry this weight on their back.
Yes.
Of, there's like a shadow lurking around you at all times. Because there's certain things you really can't do.
Right.
And now, it used to be I'm gonna dip my toe in really quick. It used to be where it's like, all right, if you are a criminal and you're arrested, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Which,
Right.
all right, you're a criminal. Don't commit crimes, right?
Right.
But there are people where I live in Los Angeles. I mean, everywhere in Los Angeles. There's undocumented people living 2 hours down from you, right? In some cases, and they are not having the best year because now it seems so random and they're just picking up people off the streets. At least they were in LA for, a good several weeks. I don't know if that was used as like a scare tactic or just like, hey, we're here, but people are still in jail that have, gardeners and like,
who've done nothing wrong other than just being
nothing.
here.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So it's even in a fictional backdrop where you're not really commenting directly on the politics of it.
Yes.
It just feels like something that, should be addressed at least in a non-obvious way. And again, don't spoil the book for me, Michelle. But I want to kind of see how it's portrayed through your lens, which I think is important too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the criminalization element. Yeah. Are you criminalized if you have committed, some sort of crime other than moving between borders, or is that your only crime? Right. And to me, it's so offensive that, the mainstream American ideal is that you go to work, you're a productive member of society, you're a good family member. And a person can be checking all those boxes and still be criminalized.
That's right.
Yeah.
Having come here in order to check those boxes, in order to work and be productive and have a good family and participate in the community. And
there's a certain degree of assimilation you do if you move into any country, right? If I move to Japan, I would expect myself to like, all right, I'm not going to like pop in with, a cowboy hat. And actually in Japan, it would probably be the Western wear is so popular. It's a bad example, but like if I went to China or something, and I'm like, I'm bringing America here and I'm not going to, assimilate to Chinese culture. That's offensive to the country you're going to. But the majority are like, I want to be an American, and they're getting punished for it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that's the case, it's a lose-lose. No,
then it's been like this for 40 years, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yep, word.
So.
Wow.
I'll shake my fist at it later, Michelle. But anyway, as it relates to the story, I think it's great to have to see it through a different POV. And I love the fact that you did have that personal experience of not really understanding the little minutia of living as an undocumented person in the U.S. Totally changing gears, but I like to ask debut authors this all the time because so many writers out there are just perpetually confused on how to get an agent. How did you get your real agent?
Yeah, so I was querying agents, which most agents will have their requirements for contacting them on their webpage. This was this agent I ended up with, Lisa Avalera. She's on the West Coast with Kimberly Cameron. And I did have someone refer me to her. Yeah. So in some cases I had referrals. People would say, oh, maybe you might want to contact so-and-so. This wasn't, I don't think somebody introduced me, but she said, oh, I know that she is focusing on writers of color right now. So sort of suggested me to her. So that was how I found her. But other ways that I had made, nice connections, you never know because people move around in jobs. Like an agent you might meet today could be an editor at a house, 5 years from now or something. So all those connections
could be an
are
accountant
valuable
tomorrow, given the state of the industry.
Which I might also need the happy day in the future when I have more money than I can keep track of. Wouldn't that be great? So anyway, all these connections have been great. So I wanted to do a plug for conferences too, like Thriller Fest, where you can meet agents in person and kind of get an idea of what they like and get their current book recommendations, what they're reading that they love. Yeah, so I was going to conferences. I was looking on websites to see what agents were looking for, and then I was listening to people who were saying, "Oh, I know so and so is interested in this or that." Yeah,
the importance of putting your name out there, I think, is pretty crucial.
Yes.
I wasn't even out trying to look for agents at Thriller Fest, and I hung out with, at least a couple, and one that I really, connected with. And it's good to have in the future. Like you said, if your agent moves, at least you have like other options where you already kind of have an in, and it doesn't feel cheap and networky. It's like, this is the organic relationship formed.
Yeah, it's not cheap and networky because you're curious about the other person. Like, what do you like to read? What are you excited about? And you get to kind of hear about that.
The one thing I think the author community does really well, because they're so genuine about it for the most part, as opposed to like, not to criticize the screenwriters out there, but like the screenwriting still in film, TV still feels very like, what can you do for me in the future? Not across the board, but it more, relative to the publishing world, it just feels a little more, networky, which is. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. There is a mutual support vibe, I think, among writers. Yeah. I mean, just meeting Michelle is a great example of that.
Well, that was one of the best conversations I had at Thriller Fest. No offense, Matt.
You were talking to her, and I don't remember where I was. I was probably
you were at the table, but like sitting 2 chairs down or something. But yeah, and then I
was that the day I was in a mood?
Yes, the day you were in a mood.
God.
So you weren't fun to talk to.
Maria, I was.
That can happen at a conference.
At some point, I was like, I'm just. There was just a conglomeration of things, and I'm like, I'm over.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that can happen. That can happen. Yeah, I met Michelle and like 90 seconds go by and she's like, you should be on our podcast.
Yes, that is true.
And I was like, oh my gosh, let's tell each other our publishing stories and our writing stories. And then we told each other our writing stories, and it was like an instant bond of mutual support. So yes, I think writers are mutually supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's that community in the publishing world that I don't think exists, at least anymore in the screenwriting world, honestly, which is unfortunate. But
yeah.
Anyhow,
I wonder.
Let's bash screenwriters more.
Okay.
Maria, you don't have any interest in screenwriting, do you?
I do not have any interest in screenwriting except to hear. I love hearing screenwriters talk about their processes and their writing and their So I love getting the inside scoop, but I feel like I have my hands full.
Yeah.
Learning how to write novel number 2. Yeah.
Speaking of novel number 2, so you said it's set in the greater Yellowstone area, right? Which is where you are now.
Right.
So 2 things. How did you end up in Wyoming? Which is just amazing to me. And how has that like impacted your networking ability, your ability to stay in contact with other authors, etc. And then how important is it to you to have lived or experienced the settings that you write about?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I'll start with the settings one first off. So in my poetry, I did write about environmental themes quite a bit and would use areas I was living in as the main inspiration. So that was really important when I was writing poetry. I wanted to, use poetry and use sharing poetry at readings and in publications as a way to keep everybody like connected to their plants and their trees and,
that's cool.
Contribute to a sense of, belonging. Yes, your plants are thriving.
Michelle is currently indicating the giant plant behind her.
Which listeners, they are crushing it. These plants are like
very
reaching the ceiling.
Very tall.
Super robust. They're in some sunlight right now, singing their chlorophyllic songs. Yeah, they're so wonderful.
Wow, it's amazing. They're blushing. Are really cool. Just so you know.
Yeah, they are. They're blushing.
Chlorophyllic Sonata should be the title.
Chlorophyllic
Sonata. Did you hear that, guys? Okay.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh yeah,
sounds mildly erotic.
Right. So then I write a book set in the Redwoods, and I had never lived in the Redwoods, but I thought that would be a setting that would, keep my little engine going, because I grew up in the Bay Area, which is a bit of a drive to get to the Redwoods. I was in the East Bay, so it's a bit of a drive to get to the Redwoods. It was about a weekend trip or maybe a long day trip for my dad piling us in the car and taking us to the Redwoods. So it was a place that I went to, rarely enough that I still had it totally idealized in my brain. Like, woo, it's so magical and beautiful, which it is. but went to enough that I thought, okay, I have a foundation for using it as a setting. And then I did some research, it was fun to do some research trips to that area. And I studied in Humboldt County and didn't want to write about, pot or drug related crime, because I thought that's what it's too easily associated with. So I wanted to write about immigration in that setting. So I used to think I had to live in my setting when I wrote poetry. But then with this first novel, I thought, well, I just need to have a relationship with it in some degree that I can develop through some research trips.
Cool.
Now I'm writing about where I do live. So I'm back in that write about your area type of mode. Now I forgot what your other question was.
I was wondering, how did you end up in Wyoming, and how has that impacted
how did I end
your
up in
author
Wyoming?
like connections and things like that?
Yeah. So my day job is a remote day job, so I can move when my hub's employment changes.
Oh.
So he got a job out here in Wyoming, and it was actually my third run through the state. When I was a high school student, I was in a high school field ecology program in Wyoming for 6 weeks.
What?
Yeah. I was a little nature nut and spent 6 weeks with the Teton Science School and their high school field ecology program. Thought I was going to be a wildlife biologist, and went to college and realized, real people are writers. And I like writing about ecology more than I like crunching data. So I had that Wyoming connection. Yeah. And then we had a second run through here. Our son was actually born out here. And so this is the third time around.
Wow.
Michelle seems so amazed that people live in Wyoming.
No, I just think it's
people live there, Michelle.
No, I know.
The state.
I know.
I think it's the least dense state. So
exactly.
Perhaps
I've just
that
never met a
here.
writer from Wyoming, like who lives in Wyoming. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Well, it's college produced, inarguably the greatest NFL quarterback in Josh Allen. So
you're a Josh Allen fan.
Maria
Very
Kelson,
nice.
she's gonna come out as a Patriots fan now. Watch.
No. I'm approving. That was an O of approval. I know it sounded judgy,
good.
didn't it? It sounded judgy.
Sounded
it was
judgy.
the O of approval because
Judgy
my
it is.
husband is from Buffalo. So
Oh, really?
nothing but approval here. Yes.
Wow.
Oh, I'm
For
very
Josh
familiar
Allen
with
fans.
Buffalo. What neighborhood did he grow up in?
Cheektowaga.
Cheektowaga. I am a Tonawanda expert.
Well,
Just so you know, just down the street.
he has cousins in Tonawanda.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Practically
We're going to have him on next, and we're just going to talk about Buffalo.
And you're just going to talk about Buffalo and
Yes.
Tim Hortons donuts, probably.
Tim Hortons Donuts, Anderson's Custard, and Ted's Hot Dogs.
Yeah.
And that's all
There
I'm
it
going
is.
to talk about.
There it
It's
is.
the
Yeah,
trifecta.
speak your language.
Yeah. And Duff's Wings, which I've only been there once, but I feel that they are superior to most anywhere else. Although the best wings, I'm sorry. You
No,
brought it
I know
up, so now
because
I'm
I
gonna
need
talk
this.
about it.
I thought I was cool because I went to the Anchor Bar, but I guess I wasn't cool.
Oh, I've been to Anchor Bar.
get
Look,
wings.
It's all excellent. The best wings I've had in Buffalo, historically speaking, I haven't been in a long time, but you just go to the random like mom and pop like strip mall pizza place, and they'll have wings, and they'll be just utterly perfect.
The greatest wings. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
anywhere you
Good
go.
pro tip.
Yeah, there's no vegetables in the city. I have discovered. Maybe it's changed now in the last 10 years.
City with wasn't that their town slogan for a while? Like the city with no vegetables.
Yeah, with like a picture of a broccoli with the X through it. As you enter the city limits.
Or like shotgun
vegetables.
shooting the broccoli or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's very violent, Michelle.
I know. I'm from
Exploding
Texas.
broccoli
What do you
head.
want
Well,
from me?
She's from Texas. She knows guns. She writes horror. She writes thrillers.
I like plants.
The broccoli must die. Yeah.
Broccoli must die.
Austin has that's another three great novel titles so far we've come up
Wow.
Yeah.
with. Austin does have vegetables.
Has a lot of vegetables.
The meat heavy town. Anyway, we're straying off topic. And we've taken up so much of Maria's time. I feel like we've addressed everything. Michelle, do you have a closing thought?
Well, I'm looking forward to her next book, and I really appreciate that you are bringing this fresh voice. It really did feel like I'm reading, somebody I haven't read before, and it is not this cut and dry prose. And yeah, the story, it it hits home, especially like right now. And that's amazing considering you wrote this in the before times.
That's right.
I'd like to say.
In the before time. That's right. Well, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that.
So everybody should totally read Not the Killing Kind. And, check out Maria's website.
That's right.
mariakelson.com?
Com.
Okay, great.
That's right.
Just making sure.
What else is good? .org?
Well, I don't know, because I just...
2020.
And it's right here in the back.
.broccoli.
.broccoli. .brock.
It was already taken. Yeah, it was already taken.
That was already, yeah.
Maria, thank you for taking the time.
Hey, thank you. It was great to talk to both of you.
And I will not be seeing you at this September's BoucherCon, but I will be seeing Michelle in beautiful New Orleans.
In beautiful New Orleans. Yep. And right around BoucherCon time is right around the end of the adaptation contest, right? I want to put a plug for because I think that's the
Maria
only
has
contest.
done so much research on pipeline.
I love research. If I could just do research till my dying day and then never do anything else, I would love that.
Right.
So the adaptation contest.
It is the final deadline for Book Pipeline's adaptation contest. Is indeed
in September, right?
In September, I think.
Yeah.
I should probably know this.
I think it's the only contest of its kind. The Book Pipeline.
I actually do think it is the only
contest
where we're looking for published books. We're also open to unpublished short stories this year, since short stories seem to be having such an impact on the film and TV industry. So,
nice.
If you have a high concept book, please feel free to submit. It's a very fair entry fee. No $100 entry fees over here.
It is very fair. Submit.
And we no big success story from the adaptation contest specifically yet. But the film industry is a big pain in the ass, and you never know. I just got to find the right. You have to find the right book at the right time.
Wait.
And
maybe after this brilliant Paramount Skydance merger, everything will be better.
Yeah, that'll fix things. No, but I will say IP has never been never been in higher demand. It feels like, we didn't get to the question of where Maria's book is in terms of like getting producer interest or anything, but most in demand genre too, thriller, crime, horror.
That's good. Insider perspective.
Well, that's also contained in its setting, and not a ton of characters, things like that. So
female lead helps with thrillers right now. Good options for actresses. Yeah,
good feedback and good.
Not sure they would pick it up. I don't know, in this political environment. Like I have no idea.
With the coin of the realm. The coin of the realm is.
What
yes,
it is.
yes. Right.
I think it doesn't hurt. It depends. Studios want a specific type of thing anyway, and they really want higher concept stuff regardless. But, like there's the Taylor Sheridans of the world, but whoever's the next Taylor Sheridan is, who's doing more character-centric, stories of the West, per se.
So I'm going to ask you an outsider outside of the screenwriting world question. So you all use IP a lot more as a word. The two letters as a word, more than novelists do. Yes. So with that in mind, I will ask, when you say people are looking for IP now, does that mean in worlds that are already created, characters that are already created, or people are looking for something new?
That is a great question. It's been both. I think when I say IP, I mean books, comics, short stories, true stories, memoirs, all that.
It's been published and hopefully it's gotten some traction.
Yeah. So like if you're a big New York Times bestseller,
it's like a no-brainer.
Your chances are a lot better than someone who, wasn't huge. But also, I don't know, there's stuff that's been picked up from some smaller presses that, haven't even been released yet. And they kind of jump in there right away. Cool. You have The Hunting Wives from God, I just talked to her at Thriller Fest.
Oh, I love when you give examples on this podcast.
I've forgotten her name. It's embarrassing that I forgot her name. Can we edit around it?
Can you just look it up and tell the name now?
No, I want to remember. I want to remember it organically.
Remember organically. I know.
May Cobb. It's May Cobb. May Cobb. I'm sorry.
Found it. You found it.
She's not ever listened to this podcast, but May Cobb, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I forgot your name, Deepa. But look, May Cobb is not a household name, but her book sold a ton, and now it's the big Netflix series, right?
Yay! That's right. So you're not just saying, when you say people are looking for IP, you're not saying people are looking for
Lord of the Rings or something.
Spider-Man number 1007.
No,
those are all the big properties are already with the
they're already have their writers.
Yeah. Right. I'm talking about new authors.
Looking
and
for
in
new
fact, I'm not even
stories
talking about
from
books
new
that were
authors.
published 20 years ago. I'm talking about books that are about to be published.
Very cool. I like a note of optimism.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Well, here's the cynicism to balance it out.
Okay, do it.
A lot of those are not ever going to get produced, but the authors are getting a lot of money from options and
Yes.
re-ups, and I won't name names, but Michelle and I know plenty of authors who have made probably more money off of like film, TV options than money
Yes.
from sales in the book itself.
Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of out there in the book world too, that you hear those stories. And I think that's good because somehow or another, you have to have enough money to buy yourself the time to write the next
Right.
book.
I mean, and I have a personal example that from he was a pretty big author. So the book is called Japantown by Barry Lancet. They published the book saying, oh, J.J. Abrams is going to turn this into a whatever. And then nothing happened. Like nothing. I mean, that's been years, right? But nothing happened. So, but he got money out of it, obviously. So
money changed hands. Yeah. So that actually is something happening. Yeah.
And I'm sure it helps the book a little bit. Probably not as much as the author might think, unless it becomes a big series like it's The Night Agent or it's, pick one, any number of things.
Well, that's something I have learned. Yeah. Is that there's no one turn of events that turns the whole ship.
That's right.
It's all the little, all the little wins. You need a few more little wins than little losses,
It's, I think culturally speaking, if something like The Night Agent becomes a big Netflix series, I don't think a lot of those audience members that love the series are going to go back and read the book or buy the book.
It'd be a different audience. Yeah.
It's kind of a different audience. I mean, that exposure helps because then when you're in the airport and you're like, oh, The Night Agent, I've heard of that. Let me read it. I can't say that doesn't hurt, but that doesn't help. But I'd be very curious to see what the data is over the last 10 years of like how book sales might have spiked or not spiked after the series comes out, depending on how big the series is or film.
Right. So. But even that doesn't change it from being a long game. Like, okay, there's a spike, but spikes end. Like at some point, that person who had that good run is going to need something else.
Maybe the data changes when a sequel comes out and it's like, oh, they haven't made this season of the series yet, but I want to like see what happens next.
Yeah, right.
And that one spikes. I think it just varies from property to property, but
but I like that as hard as it is of like, oh, this might influence it, but the influence might not last, or this might get you more visibility. Right. It's like, it's okay that that's a short-term thing because it's kind of cool that you always have to be like in it and looking to the I think that's good. That's like help me, at least. It helps me like generate energy to keep going. Yeah. Like there is no like, you just do this one thing and you're set. I think that's good.
You have to constantly keep creating new stuff, which is kind of a hard mental demand and a creative demand. Eventually the creator kind of mentally rebels against that and be like, no, I'm not going to create new things. And then they get, in a funk. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you, Maria, but there is that thirst now for more and more quote unquote content, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good thing.
Anyway, we can end.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. That was a good little bonus epilogue, though, to the podcast.
A little PS. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle and Matt. This was fun.
You're a great guest, as I expected. That's why after 90 seconds, I was like, you can be on the show.
Good. I must have had my coffee that morning.
Wow. And now, speaking of May Cobb, if I see May Cobb at VoucherCon, I'm going to reintroduce myself and have her on the podcast and do an interview with her or something.
Yeah, that's right. Now you've plugged her work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The Hunting Wives. This is Maria Kelson's episode, but The Hunting Wives now on Netflix.
That's right.
May Cobb.
Go check it out. Put it on your watch list.
The Killing Kind by Maria Kelson. That was her book. By all accounts, it's wonderful. Go get a hardcover too.
Well, there's only a hardcover.
That is what you will get unless you want an ebook or an audio. Those are both available. Yeah. And the audio is done by the woman who voices who's the sassy Latina in Grand Theft Auto? The actress who voiced Catalina. Right. The actress who voices Catalina, also narrates the book. In a completely different voice.
I would hope so.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. Well,
she's great. Yeah. Thank you both.
awesome.
Thank you, Maria and Catalina, for narrating
That's
the
right.
book.
Thank you, Catalina.